Manually start a regeneration on your system by holding down the extra cycle button for about 5 seconds. Once the screen shows BW, water should start shooting out the drain line on the back of the control head. And then once it starts counting down, you'll want to skip that step. Push the extra cycle button to skip that step. Once the screen starts counting down on the BD cycle, which is the brine draw cycle, water should start slowly being suctioned from the brine tank. If the water is not going down in the brine tank during this cycle, then you'll want to remove the brine line from the float assembly inside the brine tank. Once you have the brine line removed from the float assembly inside the brine tank, feel with your finger if there's suction on the end. It will be a very light suction, but you should definitely feel it. If you want to stick the line in a glass of water to visually see if there's suction, you can do that as well. If there's suction on the brine line, you want to make sure all your connections are correct. If you have a compression style fitting, the fitting should look like this and then screw on to the safety float. If you have the quick connect style float assembly, you want to make sure it's completely seated in the quick connect valve. If you push, it will stop a little bit, and you can push a little bit further and it will completely seat in that O-ring in there. If the brine line does not have suction when you remove it from the float assembly, then you could have a plug in the tubing, the injector on the control head may need cleaned, or the drain line on the control head is either clogged, kinked, or collapsing during the regen process. It may not be properly installed as well, so you want to make sure your drain line is going to its own specific drain on the control head, and then you want to make sure the overflow on the brine tank is going to a floor drain.